Calgary Flames are in the thick of trade rumors surrounding Buffalo Sabres forward Dylan Cozens, with 3 different insiders linking the two in the recent days. Now we have another trade update as NHL Insider Frank Seravalli has linked Colorado Avalanche forward Casey Mittlestadt to Calgary. Should the Flames go after either of these young centers? We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, and what do you know? Another day, another trade video. Let's get into the newest trade update, and again, you saw it in the intro, you probably saw it in the thumbnail as well. It is a Frank Seravalli take, so take it with a grain of salt. I know he's not exactly in with Flames fans right now, just with his comments about the Oilers earlier in the year and his comments about Gaudreau earlier in the year. And, you know, I know he does a lot of work with Flames Nation, but still, take it with a grain of salt. Now, here we have the latest update from Mr. Frank. So where would be a good fit for Casey Mittlestadt? Frank Seravalli is keeping an eye on Calgary. So essentially, there was this little snippet from the Daily Face-Off here where Frank Seravalli says that it seems as though Colorado wants to trade away Casey Mittlestadt, who is a young center, albeit, and I'll be the one to mention it, he is a left shot center. We just acquired Morgan Frost, so why go after Casey Mittlestadt after this? I'm not too sure how I feel about this one. But essentially, he says, yeah, there's some teams who could go after him since he is kind of a 2C, definitely not a 1C. Teams like Minnesota, maybe Boston, but he says, certainly keep an eye on Calgary as he kind of fits what they're looking for, if you exclude which way he shoots, which I know it has major implications in terms of, you know, face-offs and other dimensions of the game as why you'd rather have a right shot guy than a lefty, but still, I mean, if the player's available, obviously people are going to link the Flames to him. That just seems how things are going these days. Now, some early reactions. Personally, me already, I'm thinking, I don't know. If we're going to go for anyone, I'd almost rather go for Cozens, even if Mittlestadt is a little bit less expensive. But I don't know if I'd want to go for either of them, but we'll compare the two in a little bit here. So some early reactions by some people under this tweet here said, why is Mittlestadt even on the trade topic? Am I missing something? He asked for a trade. A valid question. It kind of seems like this came out of nowhere that Mittlestadt is being linked to Calgary. Another guy said, Flames collecting underwhelming 2Cs like Infinity Stones. Yes, we're trying to get that number 1 center, and it's just impossible to do so. Kadri isn't a bad number 1 center, but I mean, Kadri's no, you know, Matthews, McDavid, McKinnon type vibe. Another guy said he's an ideal 2C, yet Colorado absolutely needs a 2C and has him and wants to trade him. What are we talking about here? Yeah, it's still, I don't know if it makes too much sense. And then the last one, as long as Kadri is being traded to Colorado. I mean, that would be a fit in terms of, you know, an instant replacement for Kadri. Could be Mittlestadt, and maybe Colorado would want Kadri as a replacement. But I don't know. Overall, a little bit interesting here overall. If you're unfamiliar with Mittlestadt, let's get into his stats so far this season. Oh, where is he? There he is. Found him. So in 55 games, he's got 9 goals and 23 assists for 32 points. So obviously not terrible, not a ton of goal scoring power, especially 9 goals on 72 shots isn't the best, but also isn't the worst. I mean, 12.5 shooting percentage there. Lots of giveaways compared to takeaways, which is kind of what we just acquired in Morgan Frost. He's a minus 13 on what should be a stronger Colorado Avalanche team. He has about 17.5 minutes of ice time per game, and he is a little bit older as well. I mean, 26. We're definitely looking for 25 as the oldest, like Frost or younger. The fact that Mittlestadt is already 26, I don't know. I personally think Seravalli might be a little bit out to lunch on this one. Again, it wouldn't be the worst acquisition. It would totally depend what we give up, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sold here. The other man, of course, is Dylan Cozens, who I know yesterday's video was about him, but we had yet another person link him to the Flames. So a couple days ago, it was Darren Dreger. Yesterday, it was Pierre LeBrun. 3 days ago, I guess it was Dreger. 2 days ago, it was LeBrun. And yesterday, it was Kevin Week. So Week said, in speaking to sources, I'm told there's been plenty of expressions of interest from clubs in Sabres forward Cozens, including the Habs, the Flames, the Leafs, and the Detroit Red Wings. The 3 teams with the most Stanley Cups, and the team that will have the most Stanley Cups by the end of the 2050s, let's say. We have a lot of cups coming if we're going to pass Montreal. But overall, very interesting that clearly these guys want to know what's going on with Cozens, and every single time he has brought up the Flames are one of the teams that gets mentioned. So again, another link there. Another kind of update, I guess, is that we talked about it a little bit. Zary could be going the other way and Coronato, but even further. So this is some names that Aguelo, I think, or Augello, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, but he is the hockey writer for the Buffalo Sabres. So he went on to reference as possible options as a return for Cousins was 22-year-old forward Matt Coronato, who's having a great season with 29 points and 48 games and scored against the Maple Leafs on Tuesday. Other options he mentioned would be if Buffalo chose to go the veteran route and grab a player to help coach up some of the Sabres' young talent, like adding Huberdeau or Nazem Kadri. Now, reading that, a lot of people will say, heck no, we do not want to trade Coronato for Cousins, but maybe if we can strike something good here, Huberdeau or Kadri going the other way wouldn't be the worst deal at all, especially if there is zero retention on the salary. The Flames have a boatload of cap space. The Sabres aren't in the worst position either, so something could work out, and I think a lot of people would rather see one of the vets go than a Coronato or a Zary or someone else like that. It doesn't seem likely that the Flames would trade their two leading point producers as they are in a race for the playoffs, and unless he noted it would be in a three-team deal of sorts. Calgary is still interested, however, and likely has a plan to present Buffalo with an offer that works into what they are looking for. And I'm very interested to see what that offer could potentially end up looking like, because it's kind of inevitable at this point that the Flames will probably make some sort of pitch for Cousins. Do I think it'll be what the Sabres are looking for? No. And at the end of the day, we could see no trade happen for Dylan Cousins if Buffalo, remains adamant that they want what they want and they're not going to get it. Let's just be honest. I mean, you see what Rantanen goes for. It almost seems like the Sabres are asking for more. So it's very interesting overall. Again, I almost at this point think, what's the point of even going after Cousins? With some of the trades we've made, let's just draft, a right shot center and develop him up. There's a great comment that isn't comment of the day, but there was a great comment from yesterday's video talking about Hoskin, who's in the NCAA. He's a right shot center and he's doing really, really well. So maybe, just maybe, we could develop him into a good player. Let's quickly take a look here at Cousins' stats this season, since we took a look at Mittlestadt. So in 53 games, he's got 10 goals, 16 assists for 26 points, which means he went pointless in his most recent game. Again, another guy, way more giveaways than takeaways, a -17 and similar ice time, and he is quite a bit younger than Mittlestadt. Again, if we are to go after one of these guys, I would rather go for Cousins than Mittlestadt. I mean, Mittlestadt, it wasn't working in Buffalo, obviously. And then for it to not really work out in Colorado either, where he's had some very good line mates, is interesting. So I don't know how he'd do in Calgary. Cousins, I have a better feeling about, but again, I'm not too sure if I want to go after either of these guys at this point. Overall, it is very interesting. But let's get into some reinforcements that the Flames are getting, or at least a reinforcement, I should say, as the Flames are starting to get quite a bit injured. Well, the Flames have actually recalled defenseman Ilya Solovyov from the Wranglers, which is very good, because the past couple games here, not really the Seattle one, but if you look at the Toronto game, the Detroit game, the Flames got kind of beat because they didn't have much size at the back. Now, Solovyov is obviously a bit of a bigger guy. Is he totally a defensive defenseman like Kevin Ball? No, he's actually got a great bit of offense to his game, which has been surprising. Now, he did come up with the Flames a few times last year, I believe 10 games or so like that, and didn't look too bad at all, so it's great that he's coming in. I really hope he does slot into the lineup for tonight's game, which we'll get into in a second. Let's just quickly take a look at Solovyov here, though. So the Flames announced yesterday that they've recalled Solovyov from the Wranglers. He is a native of Mogilev, Belarusia, and has skated in 41 games for the Wranglers this season and has already registered a career-best 21 points from 6 goals and 15 assists, along with a +18 rating, the second highest on the club. He's doing so well right now. More points than expected for sure. His 6 tallies lead all Wranglers blue liners and are tied for 14th most among all AHL defensemen. So yeah, if you thought he was just a stay-at-home defenseman, you definitely thought wrong. Last season, he made his NHL debut with the Flames, skating in 10 NHL contests, registering 3 assists. This past summer, he signed a 2-year contract extension with Calgary. The 24-year-old was the Flames' 7th round pick, 205th overall in the 2020 NHL draft, and is looking to join Connor Zary and Rory Cairns as the 3rd 2020 Flames draft pick to skate in NHL games for the club this season. I really hope he does, and he will have the chance to do so. It has not been announced yet. They'll have the chance to do so in tonight's game as the Flames once again are at home. The second last game before the Four Nations face-off break. The Flames, whoa, got ahead of myself there with the comment of the day. But the Flames are hosting the Colorado Avalanche. Funny how that works, that Seravalli brings up Mittlestadt right as we're about to host Mittlestadt. So maybe keep your eye out for Casey there on the ice a little bit. Maybe do your own scouting, see if you would like to pursue him. I have a feeling I know what the comments will be like, though. Another interesting tidbit for this game is, once again, for the third time in I believe 9 or 10 days now, we're having yet another reunion with an old player, as Oliver Kylington will be playing against Calgary for the first time since departing this offseason. We had Mangiapane last week. We had Tanev earlier this week, just a couple days ago. Those were very warm welcomes. Kylington's could be interesting. I assume it will be warm, even though the way he departed wasn't the best. It looks like things, I'm assuming it'll still be a decently warm welcome. He was at the Backlund household last night, which was very sweet. So no bad blood between the players, no matter what. But hopefully the Flames can pick up a win here. This has major playoff implications, as Colorado is kind of in that wild card mix as well. They're a little bit ahead of the Flames, but this one matters a lot now that we are even on points with the Canucks and even in games played. So big one tonight. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. I kind of gave a little spoiler earlier, but hopefully this one is still a good one. It comes from Samir, goes over the Cousins trade rumors, and he said this: so Zary, Coronato, and Wolf are the three people who I think are untouchable. No chance there's any consideration of a trade involving them. And you would certainly hope so. Wolf for sure untouchable. Zary, Coronato, I would hope are untouchable, but maybe not. They're not exactly those bona fide stars like I mentioned earlier. Your McKinnons, your McDavids, your Matthews kind of type guys. But again, crazier things have happened. Look at the Luka Doncic trade in the NBA again. I know that would never happen in the NHL, but still, who knows? Hopefully they're untouchable, and definitely for Cousins, we hopefully will give up 0 of these players. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.